Mornings on 101.9 KINK.
Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning, Goal. It was like Hollywood last night in downtown Portland on the strangest of places. I think Northwest 21st is one of those most bohemian streets in Portland, and last night it was turned into the glitz and glamour of Hollywood with stretches rolling up with stars walking out of them. They were walking the red carpet on Northwest 21st into the lobby of Cinema 21 for the viewing of Wild. This, of course, is the adaptation of Cheryl Strayed's great novel. It's her memoir that so many people, especially women, have completely been drawn to. And last night it was actually like interviewing an old friend when I saw her walk up.
This is like a dream come true for me too, because I'm such a huge supporter.
I know you have been such a great fan and such a supporter. What have I been on your show at least twice, maybe 3 times? I'm surprised you're going to stay up so late.
I would not.
This is impressive.
I would not miss it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole team, Jean-Marc Vallée, Bruno Papandrea, Reese Witherspoon, Laura Dern, and others who made the film, we really developed a bond, a kind of family kinship bond, and as creative collaborators, and Nick Hornby as well. And so there's, when you find that kind of connection with people, you stick with them. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we do more things together in the future.
And so they all went to lunch at Tasty and Alder together. They had a drink before the thing, and actress Laura Dern had a box of voodoo donuts when she said,
I love Portland as a city. I love everything, the people, the vintage shops, the food.
So they are actually spending some time here kicking around, and the film's producer indicated she's coming back to Oregon.
Crater Lake is one of the great wonders of the world, in my mind. Mount Hood, just you feel like you're on top of the world.
Which I love, that more films are going to use Oregon as a destination after seeing this, after seeing the beauty of this particular film. There's so many beauty shots in it. It's incredible. And Reese Witherspoon, the petite most, I think she's probably a size 0, 0, and 5'2".
She's tiny.
If we're pushing it, was just talking about how wonderful it was to be in Oregon. But in all of the shots, the director did something I thought was so brilliant. He actually wouldn't let her look in a mirror. He did not allow her to have a razor. He didn't allow her to have a hairbrush. He said he wanted her to actually be a backpacker, learning to hike just like Cheryl Strayed was.
No, the director wanted me to not be trained because Cheryl had never hiked before. So I started the hike not knowing how to backpack. I had learned actually on film. You see me putting together the tent, and that's me learning to build the tent on film.
It is, the results are pretty, I think it seemed like she was learning on film.
Oh, one of my favorite scenes comes fairly early as she's preparing to start, and she does, loads everything into the backpack that's required and then can't budge it. And you see her get down on the floor and sort of wriggle into it and then try and get it. And literally it's a single take, and the camera rolls for like 3 minutes where this tiny little girl wrestles with a backpack that probably outweighs her by 50 pounds.
Oh, yeah. And Cheryl was talking about, because it was 20 years ago, everything was a lot heavier. And of course, she took way too much. So REI had some very nice mentions in it. And of course, one of those was how to get a lighter backpack, We'll be talking more with the director of Wild all morning long on The Morning Show with Sheila and Dan.
Mornings on 101.9 KINK.
You know what made me happy last night was to see how many Oregon actors finally got their big break in the film Wild. This is not going to be one of those films that's going to embarrass us at the box office. It's going to be something Oregonians can be proud of. Oregon looks beautiful. It was really a coup for the Oregon Film Office to be able to get them to actually film in Oregon for Oregon, as you know.
Right.
Oftentimes they try to make Canada look.
Calgary looks kind of like
exactly.
Bend.
But Lana Vinker, who was the casting agent, ended up casting 30 local people in not just, stand-in roles. Josh was one of those who was he's got a major part in this role as one of the hikers along the trail, and he's a graduate of Jesuit High, a huge break for him.
Reese and then my 2 buddies in the film who play the other 2 young bucks. I'm Josh with the 3 young bucks, and really I just loved observing the director, because my dream is to direct, and watching how Jean-Marc directed and how he worked, and everything was totally even Reese and Laura have said in a lot of their interviews, totally unorthodox to how normally films are used. He has no video lighting. It's very run and gun. Everything's very quick paced, and you just have to think on your toes, and it makes it easier in a lot of ways because you don't really feel like you have the opportunity to act. You're just kind of there, and go, 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 go. And if you don't get it, then you don't get it. But you have no time to think, essentially.
It was fascinating to talk with these people about what it was like to actually be, because you are nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And so these trucks are attempting to try to haul in to places that look like the Pacific Coast Trail with nothing for miles around. And so Reese had to sleep in a tent. She had to actually just have a little bit of water on her face like hikers do in the morning. You know, not allowed to shave, not allowed to have any mirrors in her tent at all.
Right.
And I thought the effect was really good. It reminded me, because I've hiked a lot, it reminded me of how I would look getting up. It's really nice that authenticity was there for sure.
Well, it was certainly, you know, you don't need lights when you're outside all day long, you know,
Right.
and you would need so many lights to affect the scene. They were smart, you know, to create a very naturalistic approach, and from a practical filmmaking standpoint, yeah, you're out in the middle of nowhere. It's hard to power stuff. It's hard to create that atmosphere where you felt like you went on the trail with her, and that's what the film accomplishes.
Mornings on 1019 KINK.
Cheryl, I got to give it to Cheryl Strayed. She walks the Pacific Crest Trail, gets her life together, writes a memoir, and then survives the making of a movie about her life. That's a pretty nice trifecta for Cheryl.
Not only survives, but thrives. Coming up at 7:30, we're going to be hearing from her husband, who I think is probably one of the coolest dudes around, you know, to support a person whose star is on the ascent like that in such an unconditional way like he's doing right now. He's just so great about what this means for Oregon film, for literature, for writers to actually see a writer's book come to film in a way that was so well adapted. And part of the credit, most of the credit, has to go to Jean-Marc Vallée. He's best known for his work on Dallas Buyers Club, but he completely changed gears for a while. And the story goes like this. Cheryl Strayed's film agent sent the book even before it was published to Reese Witherspoon's agent. Reese read it, fell in love with it, and then chose the director she thought would best be able to depict the rawness and rigor of how Cheryl Strayed found herself on the Pacific Coast Crest Trail.
Well, it needed to feel real and to be respectful to the material. We didn't want to make a film with style and beauty and a Hollywood thing with the pretty thing and clothes and makeup and hair, and of course it wasn't the intention. So Reese saw Dallas Buyers Club, and it was raw, and she went, "Oh, this guy I think would be the right guy to do this." And then she came to me and she chose me. I didn't choose her. She chose me.
How do you like to say that? I didn't choose Reese Witherspoon. She chose me. But there's a quick warning. The film is opening December 12th, and there are lots of graphic scenes in it that are really just not suitable for kids. It's adult content that deals with heroin abuse and lots of casual sex scenes.
Well, I was directing. I'm a director. So, of course, I talk a little bit and I go, here and there, but I let them also do what they have to do. Yes.
But yes, there's naked people in the movie. Come on, Jean-Marc, don't be afraid.
So one of the best things in talking with there were probably about 6 of the Oregon actors that were there last night.
Right.
And all of them gave credit back to him for really bringing out a side of them they hadn't seen before, because he was so much about, what are you doing in this? Not what does the script say what you're doing. What are you doing in this? And it really pushed them as actors and actresses to be able to bring forward a new kind of confidence that they didn't have previously.
Well, it's interesting. Both of his recent films, Dallas Buyers Club and Wild, they're based on true stories. These are about real people, real lives. And he has a gift for making the moment come alive in a very visceral, natural kind of feel, and that brought a lot to the movie. I'm glad you had so much fun on the red carpet, Sheila.
It was really fun. A lot of work, but so much fun.
Mornings on 1019 KINK.